Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are back. So obviously no videos yesterday. We had to cancel the live stream. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't in the mood at all. I actually saw the news like 5, 6 hours later because I wasn't online, and it felt like someone had snatched my soul out of my body for sure. It was very difficult news to take in for someone who's really loved in the football community, both him and his brother. It was very difficult, very unexpected, seeing news like that, and thoughts are definitely with him, with Jota and Andre Silva and their family and their friends as well. It makes you put life into perspective for sure. You look at the age that they're both in, and the thing that really damaged me yesterday was seeing those wedding pictures with his wife and kids. That was really painful to look at. Makes you really think about life and everything else. So tough for the football community. Thoughts are also with the Liverpool fans. For us, football fans, we watch him every single week on TV for the last 7, 8 years. Liverpool fans keep up with him and everything. And the way we are feeling, I dread to imagine what Liverpool fans are going through right now. So condolences to them, everyone affected, and the football community in general. So Arsenal was supposed to announce Subimendi yesterday, but it didn't happen because of the news. I'm sure they will announce him later on today. Now, the Friday. When is today? Friday. I think today is Friday. Yeah, today is Friday. I've lost them. Today's 4th of July, Friday. So Arsenal will announce it today. So a lot happened yesterday. So we'll break it down in a couple of videos. We'll do two live streams today as well, so we can get through everything. But in this one, let's talk about Gyökeres, Martinelli, and Rodrygo. Now, Gyökeres, it's looking likely now it could be Gyökeres ahead of Sesko somehow. And Al Nassr are actually thinking of paying us more than 80 million euros for Martinelli. That is a lot of money. I want Martinelli to stay at Arsenal, but we will need to talk. We will need to talk because that kind of money is a lot of money. So let's start with Gyökeres. Let's start with the latest on Gyökeres. And this is what Sami Mokbel has had to say about the Gyökeres situation. Arsenal are understood to have made headway with the potential move to Viktor Gyökeres in recent days. The player is understood to be keen to join Arsenal. Significantly, the signing of Gyökeres is understood to have Andrea Berta's backing. Gyökeres was not a strong target for Arsenal prior to Berta's arrival, but he believes he could make an instant impact. Should Arsenal sign Benjamin Sesko Gyökeres, it's likely to cost them in excess of £70 million. Ollie Watkins would be a cheaper option, allowing them to spend more elsewhere. It is understood that Watkins and Gyökeres are the two players Arsenal have explored moves for in recent days. So let's go through that slowly. So Arsenal understood to have made headway with the potential move for Gyökeres. So at the beginning of the transfer window, it was looking like it was going to be Sesko, but for sure over the last 1 week, it's looking very likely that it could be Gyökeres, starting from, actually, I think a little bit before that. Around 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, there was a podcast of his friends talking about asking him and telling him, let us know when you join Arsenal, text me when you finally move to Arsenal, like they know about something that is going on in the background. And then you start hearing Gyökeres wants to join Arsenal, and then you start hearing Gyökeres is not that keen on joining Man United. When you start hearing all of that, and then it's only Arsenal in that picture, you start thinking, okay, could it actually happen? We were also told in that 3 weeks that Bata really wants Gyökeres. He's the player that he really wants. So all of a sudden, from me thinking it's going to be 80% Sesko, 20% Gyökeres to join Arsenal, all of a sudden I dropped it down to 70% Sesko, 30% Gyökeres. But as of today, it's looking very 50-50, and it's looking like Gyökeres actually could have like 60% chance of joining Arsenal, and Sesko could have a 40% chance. Significantly, the signing of Gyökeres is understood to have Andrea Berta's backing. Gyökeres was not a strong target for Arsenal prior to Berta's arrival, but he believes he could make an instant impact. Now, before that, we wanted Sesko since last year. We already had talks with him, already had talks with Leipzig, talks with Sesko's agent, and it was looking very likely that he would join us even in January, but we didn't get him in January. So it was looking very likely that we would get him in this particular transfer window that we are currently in. But the same director who was talking to Sesko last season, which is Edu, is no longer here. And we've had a couple of changes as well in the board and the management team. A few people have left, and we are bringing in a few other people, a few new people, including Andrea Bata, who likes Gyökeres now. We've also been told that we preferred Sesko's playing style more than Gyökeres, but I'm also thinking, could it also be that Arsenal, maybe a few people wanted Gyökeres in the Arsenal team, but we just felt like we couldn't get him, be it because we thought Gyökeres would definitely go to Man United, or maybe we thought we wouldn't have enough facilities or whatever to get Gyökeres at Arsenal. But now all of a sudden with Andrea Bata in the picture, we feel like, okay, Andrea Bata's connections, he knows the player, he knows the agent, he's been very good in striker dealings over the past decade. He can actually get us Gyökeres. Maybe that could also be something that has emerged now that Andrea Bata is at Arsenal. But it could be any of those or a combination of all of those. Maybe you wanted Sesko ahead of Gyökeres playing style, but also maybe just didn't think we could get Gyökeres. But now with Andrea Bata, you feel like we can actually get this kind of players. That is that's good. And also financially, maybe it also allows us to actually get players like Gyökeres. Should Arsenal sign Benjamin Sesko Gyökeres, it will likely cost them excess of 70 million. So on Wednesday night, the last video we did, we talked about Benjamin Sesko potentially wanting close to, or Leipzig potentially wanting close to 90 million for Benjamin Sesko. Now, I do feel like if Sesko is 90 million and Gyökeres is 70 million, Arsenal are going to go for Gyökeres. Whoever is cheaper, we are going to go for. And obviously now the decision has to happen very, very quickly, because now we're 4th of July. I think players are coming back to training like on Monday. We don't have too much time. Pre-season training starts, and then boom, the pre-season game starts. You have to have your players ready there. And obviously, since you're trying to get a lot of deals done at the same time, we have to move quickly for most of this, because I think by the time you get to the end of July, there is a chance, Gyökeres might not be available, Sesko might not be available. Now, I've seen a lot of people celebrating and saying, yes, I'm happy the Sesko deal is complicated. You're going to get Gyökeres instead. That's well and good if we've confirmed that we're getting Gyökeres. I cannot celebrate right now and say, okay, I'm happy that Sesko's deal is complicated if I'm not sure you're going to get Gyökeres, because we might move slowly, and then boom, Sesko's going to a different team, and then we actually don't end up getting Gyökeres. And to make it worse, the plan C is also not guaranteed, because Man United are currently trying to sign Watkins. So all of those are not guaranteed. I don't want us to end up with a plan D or a plan E in the team. No, for that position that we really wanted, that's the number one position I think 100% of Arsenal fans wanted in this transfer window. I think if you had to sit with 1,000 Arsenal fans and ask them the one position you need to strengthen this transfer window, I'm not even going to say 990 would have said striker. I think all 1,000 of them would have said we need a striker more than any other position this transfer window. So we cannot end up with a plan D or plan E for that position in that transfer window. So the most you can go is plan B, actually, for me. So yeah, it is understood that Watkins, Gyökeres are the two players Arsenal have explored moves for in recent days. So let's see how that one goes. Watkins is a plan C if we don't get Gyökeres and Sesko. But yeah, Sammy Mockwell says those are the two players we've been looking at recently, Watkins and Gyökeres, not even Sesko, because the Sesko deal is complicated, as it was reported on Wednesday. So that is tough. Hopefully we do end up getting, now that it's on Gyökeres in the picture, let's hope we do actually end up getting him, because that is the kind of striker we need in our team. Gyökeres numbers are absolutely crazy, man. Let's be honest. Last season, he played 52 games. He scored 54 goals and had 13 assists. I absolutely love strikers who can get you goals and also assists. There's other strikers who are going to get you 50 goals, 2 assists. But a striker who can get you 50 plus goals and 10 plus assists in back-to-back seasons, that is crazy. Now, double figure numbers in both of them. That is, he had basically 54 goals and 13 assists last season. The season previously, he played another 50 games, 43 goals and 15 assists. So that means in 102 games the last 2 years, Gyökeres has scored 97 goals and he's contributed to 28 assists. That in total is 125 goal contributions in 102 games the last 2 years. Again, as I said, I don't think this is something to do with the Portuguese league. Might it be easier than the Premier League? Fine. But if you can get 125 goal contributions in 2 years, whether you're doing it in Bahrain, whether you're doing it in Mexico, whether you're doing it in Mozambique, whether you're doing it in Fiji, whether you're doing it in Bolivia, I do not care where you're doing it. If you can be able to return those kind of numbers, goalposts are the same sizes in every single country. You might get tougher defenders, but you're going to get chances at Arsenal. You just need to put the ball in the back of the net. I'm not even asking for him to get 125 goal contributions in 2 years. I'm asking for him to get half of that in the 2 years, even less than that can help us win the league. If he gets us 25 goals next season and 25 goals the following season, only 50, I'll be very, very happy with that. That is the kind of player that we need. So I don't think you can just easily say no. And before that, by the way, he was at Coventry for 2.5 years, and he still managed to get 60 plus goal contributions. So he's done it in England before. So those kind of numbers, I'm usually scared of getting a player who's only had one good season, but a player who's had like 4 or 5 consecutive good seasons and is going to his prime. He just turned 27. Those are the kind of players that you need to go for. So I'd be absolutely happy with Gyökeres. Now, Martinelli. I've always told you guys I want Martinelli to stay at Arsenal. I want us to have enough players next season. I don't feel like Martinelli is completely useless. I feel like he gives us some other things. He's not been contributing in terms of goals and assists recently. He's been missing a lot of big chances. That is not good. He didn't have a good season at all. I'd actually argue two back-to-back seasons that have been poor. But I've always said as well in the live shows that we also need to stop underestimating our players, because I see people saying sell Havertz for 20 million, take it, sell him, sell Martinelli for 30 million, take it, sell him. No, we cannot be doing that with our players. That's the reason why our highest sale is like Chamberlain for like 35 million, when everyone else has been selling their players for 100 million plus. If Martinelli was playing for a Chelsea or Liverpool today, he would have been sold for 100 million. I wanted him to stay. I definitely want him to stay, but we need to talk about that money that we might get as well. Now, this is what has been reported by Ben Jacobs. Al Nassr are willing to offer a fee of around 85 million euros for Gabriel Martinelli, but Arsenal also don't really want to sell the player. Sources have confirmed, however, that Arsenal could be persuaded. So this is according to Ben Jacobs. He's gotten a few correct when it comes to Saudi Arabian news. 85 million euros is crazy. That is a lot of money. I was saying, if you're selling Martinelli, I want us to get 65 million plus. That is what I've been saying. 65 million plus, not 50 million, not 45 million. No, this is a player you have to get as much money as you want. And this is a player I want to stay anyway. So you'd have to really, really convince me for me to want to sell him. And that has to be in terms of money, nothing really else. If it's money that can help us get, a striker like Gyökeres, and that is what you're trying to do, then you can consider it. And 85 million euros, which is 73 million pounds, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So first of all, let me ask you guys the question. If you wanted Martinelli to stay, do you think the 85 million euros will make you change your mind and say, nah, you have to take that money, you have to take it? Now, imagine, because we are hearing that Real Madrid might want like 70 million for Rodrygo, and you're hearing Gyökeres 70 million. Selling Martinelli for that kind of money. Now, might we regret it? Yeah, we might regret it. Selling Martinelli, ends up going to Saudi Arabia and then goes to like a Barcelona and becomes a hero there for the next 10 years. But that kind of money, we are always so connected to players. I'm very guilty of that as Arsenal, ever since back in the day. Never want anyone to leave, never want Thierry Henry to leave, Cazorla to leave, Rosicky to leave. I wanted those players to be at Arsenal forever, but they're never going to be at Arsenal forever, unfortunately. So Chelsea sold Hazard, Man United sold Ronaldo, Tottenham sold Kane. These are players that are really loved in those teams. So there has to come a point when you're going to sell those players. And for 85 million euros, I cannot lie, I would be considering it, especially if they're just paying right away everything. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. That would be more than double what you've ever sold a player for, our record. A double plus, a plus more. So that would be absolutely crazy. But Martinelli, we're hearing that Al Nassr are willing to pay around 85 million euros. Now, Arsenal don't want to sell him, and also you need to also think that, the player might not want to go to Saudi Arabia. He might want to stay in Europe and try and win the Premier League, try and win the Champions League before, going to a different country. His family could be already settled in England, which I think he is already. He's been here for a long time, since 2019, so that's like 6 years. Is one thing that he did very well is his English. In the first days, he was not good, but these days he talks really, really good English. So that's someone who settled in very, very well. So I wouldn't imagine would want to leave, depending on how much he would be offered over there. So Ben Jacobs also says that I have no information at this stage whether Gabriel Martinelli wants to go to Saudi Arabia. All I can say is that an approach to pitch the project to Martinelli happened in January, so he's been aware of Saudi interest for at least 6 months. From Arsenal's point of view, it's a hypothetical. It's not something that has any substance yet. From Martinelli's perspective, he's aware something may be forthcoming. From Al Nassr's perspective, they're simply lining up their budget. So we've heard that they want Luis Diaz first, but if it happens with Martinelli, if they prefer Martinelli and the Luis Diaz, that deal doesn't happen, I would be considering that 85 million euros, not even just for Martinelli. Usually, I think, Saka, I'm thinking 200 million. Saliba, those ones I'm thinking 200 million. But I think every player has a price. It's just football. That's how football is. No player is going to be there forever in that particular team. So yeah, that's the latest on Martinelli. I would be considering it, to be honest. I do not want to sell Martinelli, as I've always said, but if you start talking about 85 million euros, that's a lot of money to turn down for a team that has always been terrible at selling players. Now, Rodrygo, who could possibly be his replacement. Arsenal have had preliminary talks with Rodrygo's camp in recent weeks, and Real Madrid are open to allowing him to leave the club this summer. So the Athletic, David Ornstein and the boys have reported that we've opened talks with Rodrygo. So things usually happen in the background that you don't know about. Maybe Arsenal now know that Al Nassr are ready to pay that money for Martinelli. Maybe they now know that Rodrygo wants to leave Real Madrid and they're trying to get Rodrygo deal done before losing Martinelli. By the way, that's something I would be trying to do as well. Maybe trying to get a player like Rodrygo fast before letting go of Martinelli. I don't know which is going to happen fast. Which is better for them. But yeah, Rodrygo, if you get a player like Rodrygo and Eze and Gyökeres, that's a lot. That's a 10 out of 10 transfer window. I don't think we've ever had a 10 out of 10 transfer window. So if you're able to pull Rodrygo from Real Madrid to Arsenal for, less than what you sell Martinelli for, I think at that point people will be looking at Andrea Berta as a very, very good businessman, because we've never really been a team that does well when it comes to finances in the transfer window. We are either robbed in terms of our players, and then we end up paying a lot of money for other players. That would be, again, if Rodrygo's leaving Arsenal in the last 5 years, we would have been selling him for 40 million. That's what I'm trying to say. So I would absolutely love to see Rodrygo in this kit, and not those particular ones. Those ones are from last season. But yeah, the ones for next season, I would love to see him in an Arsenal kit. And it's complicated. The ball is not in our court for that deal, as I've always said. But if they feel like it's a possibility and we're getting that 80 million from Al Nassr, and they feel like that 80 million could help us buy someone like a Rodrygo and Eze and Gyökeres, that is big, I've wanted Martinelli to stay. I always wanted Martinelli to stay. Players like that. Depth, I feel like, is a very hard work. I don't think you'll ever watch a game and say that Martinelli is not doing anything. You can't see him. He's always back, defending, helping out, and all that. But again, there's always a price for everyone. Ronaldo got sold, Kane got sold, Thierry Henry got sold. Everyone usually gets sold. No one ever stays in the team for that long or for forever. So let me know. Would you take 85 million euros for Martinelli? Let me know. And do you think Rodrygo would be a sufficient replacement for him? Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.